This planet of ours it's huge, it's complicated. But what if I told you there's a simple system that can pinpoint any location on Earth, from the top of Mount Everest to your favorite coffee shop? So today, we're going to crack the code on that global address system. Okay, just take a look at this. On one side, a remote, natural landscape. On the other, a jam-packed modern city. They feel worlds apart, but they're both right here on the same planet. So how do we even begin to connect them, to understand how they relate? Well, first, you've got to know where they are. And yeah, that's really the big question, isn't it? In a world with all these complex systems and just huge distances, how do we come up with a framework, a way to make sense of it all that everyone, everywhere, can understand? How do we organize our entire planet? Okay, so the first step, we've got to build a foundation for how we see the world. Because you can't really solve any big global problem if you don't even have a universal way to talk about where things are happening. I mean, think about it. Jumping into action without a plan is just chaos, right? It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint. You're just going to end up with a mess. To bring order to our world, we need a foundational blueprint, a guide that shows us where everything fits. So what is this guide? What's the tool that helps us make sense of the whole planet? Well, it turns out there's an entire field of study for exactly this. The field is social science, and it's so much more than just memorizing facts for a test. It's the science of place and space. It gives us the tools, like maps, to understand our world and how we fit into it. It's our guide. And, the most basic, most powerful tool we have is the map. There's this great quote that just nails it. A map is like a treasure guide. It shows you where things are and how to get to them. I mean, how perfect is that? It's all about bringing order to the chaos. All right, so let's take that idea of order and apply it to the biggest map there is, the whole planet. Believe it or not, there's a kind of grid system, a global code that organizes every single spot on Earth. And the idea behind it is actually super simple. This chessboard analogy is perfect. Just like any square on a chessboard has a name, like E4, every single spot on Earth has its own unique address on this global grid. And that address, we call it a set of coordinates. It's literally just two numbers, but put them together, and they can pinpoint any location on the planet with incredible accuracy. So what are these two magic numbers? Okay, they're called latitude and longitude. So think of latitude lines. They're also called parallels, like the horizontal rungs on a ladder. They tell you how far north or south you are from the equator. Then you've got longitude lines, or meridians. They run vertically from the North Pole to the South Pole, and they tell you how far east or west you are from one specific starting line. And that starting point for longitude, it's a really big deal. So way back in 1884, a bunch of countries got together and agreed that the line running through Greenwich in the UK would be the official 0-degree line. We call it the prime meridian. It's the world's universal starting point for east and west. But wait a second. 1884? That's not that long ago. So was Greenwich always the center of the map? Was it really the first prime meridian? Not even close. And this is so cool. It just shows you how deep this history goes. Centuries, literally centuries, before Greenwich was a thing, ancient Indian astronomers had their own prime meridian. They called it the Madhya Rekha, which means middle line, and it ran right through the city of Ujjain, which was this major hub for astronomy for hundreds of years. So yeah, the idea of a global grid is way, way older than most of us think. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This grid doesn't just tell you where you are, it also tells you when you are. Because it turns out longitude and time are totally connected. Okay, to get this, picture two friends in India on the phone. One of them is in Tinsukia, way out in the east, and she's saying, hey, the sun's already set, it's dark here. But her friend, who's all the way over in Porbandar on the west coast, is probably like, what are you talking about? It's still broad daylight here. Same country, but totally different times of day. And the reason? It all comes down to their longitude. And the magic number that explains all of this is 15 degrees. So the Earth spins a full circle, 360 degrees in 24 hours, right? Well, if you do the math, 360 divided by 24, you get 15. So every single hour, the Earth rotates 15 degrees. And that right there is the golden rule that connects where you are to what time it is. For every 15 degrees of longitude you move to the east, the local time jumps forward 1 hour. If you go west, it moves back an hour. That's it. It's really that simple. The whole planet is basically a giant clock, and those longitude lines are the hour markers. Now, you can probably imagine it would be total chaos if every single town had its own unique local time, right? Off by just a few minutes from the next town over. So, to make life easier for everyone, we've grouped the world into these wide strips called standard time zones. For the most part, they follow those 15-degree longitude lines, but you'll see they kind of wiggle around borders to keep whole countries or regions in the same time zone. Okay, let's wrap this all up. We've seen how this amazing grid works. But why should you care? Why does a system that's over 100 years old still matter so much today? All right, so here are the key things to take away. First, maps are our basic tools for making sense of the world, and we can find any spot on them using that grid of latitude and longitude. Remember, latitude tells you how far north or south you are, and that's kind of related to climate. Longitude tells you how far east or west you are, and that's directly tied to time. And to keep us all on the same page, the whole system is organized into standard time zones. That's what lets us coordinate everything from global shipping to just calling a friend in another country. You know, we started this whole conversation talking about how to bring some order to this huge, complex world. And this grid system, it's honestly one of humanity's greatest achievements in doing just that. It's a universal language for place and for time. It really proves that even our biggest, most complicated challenges can become manageable when we all agree on a shared way to look at them. So the big question I want to leave you with is, what will we do with that understanding? And where else do we need to apply that kind of thinking?